All right, folks, welcome to Econ 161. This is introductory macroeconomics. I've had some of you before. Some of you are familiar faces to me. Others are not, but we will become familiar throughout the semester, of course. As far as what we're doing today, I'll do just a general introduction, talking about like random important stuff. And then we will go over the syllabus in fine detail. Then we will take a 20-minute break, and then we'll come back and do the second half of today, which will include covering chapter 1, which is not too difficult. And then that'll be the day. So that's what we have on the agenda. If you are not registered for the course and you are on the wait list, so what's going to happen is I'm going to have you sign this form that I have. So the first week, the system handles like people dropping out and waitlist people converting. And then the second week, the waitlist drops out, and then it's up to me, and then I'm allowed to give permission numbers. So what I require from people that want to get into a course that's as tightly packed as this one is that you start coming to class and continue coming to class. And so you have to demonstrate your commitment to wanting to be in this class by being here on a regular basis for the first 3 weeks, which is when we can add or drop. And as spots open up beyond next week, then I will give out permission numbers via like a lottery system. Like I'll pick names out of a hat type of thing. It's the fairest thing I can do. So that's where we stand. And like I said, there's like 14 people on the wait list right now, but only the people that are here today will be considered for a spot. And again, right now there are no spots, and it's all about seating capacity and fire codes. Like the university doesn't want more people in a class than are capable of sitting within it. So that's just the reality that we face in life. There are constraints, there's scarcity, we make choices because of it. One of our important principles that we'll be covering in this class. Here you go. Alrighty, let's get going. So we'll cover chapter 1, first principle, and then that's how the class will go. Every Tuesday we'll meet and we'll go for about an hour and 10 minutes. Take about 15, 20 minute break, and then come back and do the second half, because essentially we're covering a week's worth of lectures in one night. So that's how the class will be structured. So just a general introduction. Welcome back to school. Some of you have already been in school a couple of days. I actually taught a class on Saturday, so I'm already started like in full swing here. But it's sort of an interesting time always at the beginning of the fall semester for a couple of reasons. One is because there's people here that have never gone to college. You don't have to reveal yourselves, but are there some people that are in college here for the first time? Oh, welcome to college, man. It's going to be a good time, and it's going to be a hard time. Just remember that. It's both of those things, not just a good time. But, you know, everybody's been off for like 3 months. Yeah, maybe you've got a job. Maybe you took some summer school, but it's been nowhere near as like voluminous in terms of like responsibilities as it is during a semester. So right now, I get that your mindset is not like in school yet, like ready to take things on. Like I understand that, I've been there, but that has to change in the next like week or so. Like you have to make a conscious effort to sort of like switch gears and like be like injected into this process and just fully dedicated to doing extremely well, not just in this class, but all your other classes, and making sure that all of this works out, because you're paying for this, you're choosing to be here. It actually will help you in the future a lot. So it is worth your time, it is worth your effort, and therefore put it in, you know. So transition. It's all about transition this next week. So make sure that you actively are working on that transition, and you know, as soon as like next week comes around, you're ready to like absorb. So who am I? That's the first thing I'm talking about here. First of all, my name is Gabriel Exarlian, if I didn't mention that already. Gabriel Exarlian, it's sort of a weird name, but that's my name. And I'm actually local. I grew up in the Valley. I went to Sherman Oaks CES, which is on Reseda and Victory. And it's like a weird school. It's like 4th through 12th grade. I went from 6th through 12th grade there. And then I got into UCLA, but my parents were immigrants, didn't really know how to guide me. I didn't know what to do in terms of like actually going to college and paying for stuff and living and all this stuff. So I just didn't bother, and I just wound up at Pierce, which is fine. So I went to Pierce for 2 years. If you've done the same thing and transferred, good for you. I did that, transferred to USC, earned my degree in cinema television from USC because I wanted to be a director. And it was an amazing experience. I love that whole time period and everything I learned. But what happened during that time period was it actually opened up my mind to a lot of the economic realities that exist throughout the world. Things that I had not known about because I lived in my little bubble in the valley where things are okay and there aren't a lot of homeless people and things of that sort. I mean, there's some, but it's not terrible. Anyway, like we studied film history, which is like 100 years worth of history, and we saw films from all over the world, and a lot of things sort of were brought to my mind that I felt were important and kind of and just changed my entire mindset about like what I should be doing with my life, and that was just my choice. And so I decided, okay, I want to do something a little bit more, and I'd taken some econ courses prior to getting into the film program, and so I was like, well, I am kind of interested in econ. Econ is the most important dimension of our lives because it's basically, it is our lives. Like it's all about like resources, consumption, making sure that people have work, prices, and all this stuff. Like this is everything that we always think about in some way, either directly or indirectly. And so I decided to become an economist. So how do you become an economist? Well, it's a long road. First, you have to learn a lot of math. So I took a bunch of math courses, some statistics courses, probability, did well in all that, got into a master's program at SC, finished that in 2010. Immediately after that, I went into a PhD program at UCSC, so UC Santa Cruz up north, right south of San Francisco. And I was there for 5 years, just finished in June. It was miserable. 5 years of being away from Los Angeles. Los Angeles is like, it's like a playground, and we all know it. Like it's everything you ever want is here. You can do all sorts of things on any given night of the week. It's a wonderful place to be. I appreciate it so much more now that I'm back. But that was one reason that it was miserable. The other is that it's a PhD program in economics. Extremely difficult. So much like work required of me, so much effort I had to put in to like succeed. There were 14 people that went into the program. Only 4 of us graduated last year. Some dropped out. Some are still there. It's a challenge. No matter where you take this program, it is a challenge. Thank you. Thank you very much. And actually, it was 7 years straight of grad school, so because the master's and then the 5 years, so it was pretty intense. But anyway, it worked out. I'm happy. I'm at the point I'm at. It made me a better person. It's worth your time to put yourself through very difficult things in life. It is so worth your time. It's extremely hard and painful, and sometimes you'll be very sad, but that's just the way it is. That's life, okay? Like in order to enjoy the good times, you have to experience the bad times. Like these things, like they define each other, and without each other, it just doesn't mean anything. So it is worth your time to put in that kind of effort. It was worth my time. I finished. Then I wanted to come back home. Fortunately, CSUN had some part-time work available. Started teaching here last year. Stayed, taught the whole year, and now I'm back. They apparently liked what I did, so here I am once again. And as a graduate student at the PhD level, you start TAing, being a teacher's assistant for professors. So that kind of gets you like sort of getting your feet wet with respect to teaching, and then eventually they let you teach your own class. And I did, and everything worked out. So I had some experience, came here, continued that. People like what I did back there. People seem to like what I do here, so it's all working out nicely. So here I am, and as far as the future goes, my plan is to just be a researcher and teach, and that should take me, to the end of my life, actually, because economists that do anything significant are like super old. So, so until I actually am that old, I won't be able to do anything significant. Because economics is like, it's complicated, because economics is not just like the ideas you learn in this course. Once you get beyond like these introductory level courses, like it does start to become about like the tools that you need to do economic analysis, which are mathematical, which are statistics, which are very sophisticated. And what economists do is they take things from other disciplines and they kind of make it their own, and then kind of shape it to their needs, making it even more complicated than just like normal these normal like complicated disciplines like statistics, probability, all this stuff. That's why you have like a course called econometrics, which is statistics for economics specifically, that if you're in the business school or in the economics program, you'll wind up taking in some way, shape, or form. So it's a challenging road to be an economist, to study economics at any level, but it's totally worth it, and it does help. It just helps you overall to understand the world and your place within it. So who are you? So this is the point of the class where we go around, everybody introduces themselves and talks a little bit about themselves. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I personally always hated when professors had us do that, especially after like summer break, where you're just like, I do not want to be here, and then all of a sudden you have to like get up and talk and tell everybody who you are, and this is just silly. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to surmise who you are just based on what I know. A lot of you are just general ed people that are just kind of trying to, feel your way through this like introductory period of the education process at the college level, and you're just trying to figure out what you want to do. So you're touching upon different subjects. General education, it's part of the basic requirements. So if that's you, this is a class that's actually pretty useful because a lot of the stuff you learn here is practical beyond college, beyond the business program, beyond any program. It helps you understand the world, and there's a lot of important aspects to what we do here that are always going to affect your lives, be it through politics, be it directly through economic policy. And so the more you know about that stuff, the better, more confident of a person you'll be in the world. Some of you are trying to get into the business program, and this is a prerequisite for that. So if that's the case, you got to get a C in the course, so be invested in this course. And of course, I will do everything I can to make sure that at least I play my part in trying to help you to achieve that goal. And that should pretty much be it, right? People that want to be business majors or are just taking this for GE purposes. Is other people taking it for any other reason than that? Right, that's what I figured. So regardless of why you're here, this class should work out for you. All right, let's move on to macroeconomics in general. So macroeconomics, again, is so economics is broken up into two subdisciplines, micro and macro. Micro deals with the decision making of individuals and firms, which are companies. So we analyze those decisions that are made with respect to consumption, with respect to production, and by doing that, when you model like individual behavior, you can then aggregate, combine like the behavior of individuals into like a simulated population that can then give you some insights about what may happen in a particular sector of the economy or in a particular industry. It's fairly technical, micro, more technical than macro, and more abstract than macro. But definitely worth your time, especially if you're going to be a business major. It is a prerequisite. If you are taking just GEs, it may or may not be in your wheelhouse. It may be something you want to feel out first. If you're like a kind of person that is interested in like kind of technical knowledge, it might be interesting for you. But if that's not the case, it likely will be completely not interesting to you. And I totally get that. But this class is a little different. This is the other side of the coin with respect to economics, in which we talk about the big movements of the economy, the ups and downs, how the overall economy is functioning, what role the government can play in that, how we measure like the performance of the economy, things of that sort. So things that you'll hear politicians talking about in this current election cycle. You hear a lot of stuff with respect to inflation and unemployment and things of that sort. We'll talk about how to measure that stuff and all sorts of issues relating to those kind of issues here in this class. So a lot of what's going on in like the world that you may not completely understand, you'll get some insight into here. Like the whole Brexit thing that went on a few months ago with Britain exiting deciding to exit the trade union in Europe. That's sort of something that we can lightly touch upon in this course. So there's a lot of different things that this course will explain. So that's what you have to look forward to. As far as how I teach this course, I have like very intricate slideshows that I make based on the chapters from your book. So what you'll see in class will be pretty in line with what you see in the textbook, which is not the most common thing you'll find in these classes, because generally, like, a professor will have a textbook and they'll just like teach whatever, like they'll just come to class and just kind of teach. And it won't always coincide with what's in the book, and so it can become confusing. So having gone through that as a student, like I recognize that that's the wrong approach. And so I try to take the more narrow approach, the more focused approach of like, let me try to follow the book as closely as possible so these people aren't completely confused, because it's already a subject that has a lot of sort of like technical details that you have to keep track of. And if you have a lot of other outside information muddying the waters of that, it can become even more difficult than it already is by its very nature. So that's what I do. I go through these slideshows, and there's some homework assignments which I'll talk about, and then we have a few exams which I'll talk about as well. Is there an air conditioner on here? Because I don't think there's an air conditioner on here, right? I am burning up, but whatever. Let's just keep going. I'm gonna be sweating the whole time, by the way. All right. So how you succeed in this course? So this course, it's technical, and it's not completely intuitive. So like a lot of what you'll learn is like somewhat foreign in terms of like in terms of what's being done, and like the thought processes that sort of got to the point of having these concepts be what they are, because economists took a long time to sort of figure out, hey, we agree on these things. These things are actually things that we all can say, yeah, they can go in an introductory textbook. It took centuries for that to happen. So you can't just sit back and just kind of like intuitively like get to the same conclusions yourself. And so because of that, you're kind of being forced to learn a new language in a sense. And in order to learn a new language, in order to learn a completely foreign subjects that don't necessarily coincide with the way you think or know or understand the world, you have to put in a lot of time. You have to go through this information several times. So how you succeed in this course is, A, you come to class and you watch my lectures, take notes. B, so it's all about like multiple passes on the material. So if you come to class and take notes, that's one solid pass on the material. And then you go home, you study your notes, and I also record my lectures so you can go back and kind of fill in the parts that you missed or whatever. And then what I suggest you do is for each chapter, like create, just write really small, create like really small condensed study guides for each chapter. And then when we get to like an exam, you have those study guides, and then you go through those in, however many times you need to, 6, 10, 20 times, whatever. And then you get down the information you need. So it's about repetition. It's about like re-exposing yourself to the information as often as possible so that you can walk away knowing it rather than just casually kind of understanding it, but not knowing it to the extent that, that it'll help you pass the class at the very least. But your goal should be more than just passing the class. It should be about walking away knowing this stuff, because this stuff is actually important. So again, like the class requires a good amount of time commitment on your part. And so that requires like you deciding like, to do this versus, some fun things that you might want to do. Like this is the point in your lives, well, the majority of you that are younger and starting out, or kind of been in college a couple of years, like this is the point in your lives where you become that person that can then carry you into the future, the person that makes the right decisions for yourself, the person that is not forced to do the things that you have to do, but decides to do them because you know that that's the right thing to do for you. Because as we get older, like we don't have safety nets. People aren't like holding our hands. People aren't like, yeah, sure, just take your time. Like we'll just wait for you to figure out how to do this job. And it's just like it doesn't happen. Like once you're out in the world, like it's like sink or swim. Like if you're not up to the level that people need you to be, you're done. You're out. And yeah, with a college degree, you'll land somewhere. You're not going to wind up homeless. Like you're gonna wind up with something. But there's more to life than just getting something. Like you can get more than that out of this life. And really, it's about being that person, the person that can just like get out there and just like take on challenges, not be shaken by whatever it is you're doing, and be able to sort of send these positive signals to people that you are this person that they can depend on, that they don't have to baby, that will take on any task that's foreign, and master it and conquer it, and then ultimately be like an asset to wherever it is you're going to be working, be it a company you're working at, or for your own company, because people aren't going to want to buy from you if you're not that kind of person either. And so everything you do here is not necessarily always about exactly what you're learning and exactly what the class requires and earning a grade in the class. It's not about that. What it primarily is about is shaping you into that person that can go out there and just like thrive, that can shine, that people will be attracted to. The people that have the opportunities you want will be attracted to and will want to have you around. So that should always be like your driving sort of motivation while you're in this class and college in general, because again, it's about you making the right decisions for yourself, and then just like kind of having that quality that people want around them in the long run. So I'll be talking about this stuff throughout the entire semester, because it's like pretty much like my guiding philosophy. So you'll be hearing all about all this sort of perspective. I'll be jamming it into your head throughout the entire semester. But it's not just words and it's not just ideas. It's like it does help a lot, especially when things get really difficult, because they do. Those of you that have been here in college already, you know that there are those times where it's like, oh my God, you've got like 3 exams, you've got like a couple of papers due, like all sorts of things. Maybe some of you work as well. You have other responsibilities outside of college. So those, you can get to those really difficult moments, and it's really easy to lose sight of why you're here during those times, because you get caught up in all the details of everything you're supposed to learn and do. And so it's really important in those times to really truly remember that everything you're doing is not about the silly exam you have to take and the silly grade you might earn, but it is about you becoming that person that will thrive in the world. Always about that. Always. And then it just happens, and then you are that person, and then you're out, and people do give you the opportunities that you deserve. It happens. It's just like this natural, weird process. But you have to undergo it, and it's not going to be pleasant all the time, and it's going to be painful at times, and that's just something you need to be at peace with. All right, let's get into the syllabus. So anybody not have a syllabus? I know some people came in a little late. I got a couple of syllabi here for you. I'm connected to a wire, so I don't want to come over there. Okay, thank you. Is there a thermostat in here? Where is it? Oh, it's behind you. Is there anything that can be done? There isn't, right? Yeah, I'm going to open the door. All right, let's just keep moving forward. All right, so I'm going to go through what you have in front of you in fine detail. It's going to explain everything that basically lays out how the class runs. I have a very particular way of running the class, and it works for me, and it works for students. In the end, everybody is appreciative of how I run my course. Well, at least the people that are here to like actually learn, and everybody should be those people. Don't try to go under the radar and just kind of make it ever. That's not ever a good thing. And again, it is about you. It's not about me. It's not about what other people think about you. It's what you should be thinking about yourself. And you should never be okay with just kind of doing a half-assed job. Like, you should always be aiming to be the best in anything you do, because then you set that precedent for yourself. It's all about what happens internally here, because the majority of you are very young, and youth is a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful time, but it does end. Like, it actually just goes away at some point. It's like, you look in the mirror, it's like, what happened? I'm not the young person I used to be. And other people see it too. And bottom line, people in this world treat young people differently than they treat older people. So as you get older, if you don't have a lot going on in here, you know, the will, like that glow that just represents like a person that's like driven and like passionate and all this stuff. People start to not give you what the things that you have now as much, and you know, opportunities are part of that. So you might be at a job and you're like, yeah, I'm comfortable. Yeah, there's possibilities to advance, but you'll never advance, you know, if you don't have it in here. So again, don't enjoy where you're at, but just keep in mind that like this period does end, and that it's important for you to cultivate who you are inside. So important. All right, syllabus. So professor logistics, I have an office in this building, 4th floor, 4243. I've got a phone number. They gave me a phone number, but there's no voicemail, so I don't know. You can call it. I don't know. Office hours. I've got office hours, so 4 hours on Tuesdays. So I have an hour immediately before this class, and then I've got 3 hours in the morning from 12:15 to 3:15. And then usually this class will end like 9:30, 9:45-ish. And so after that, if you have questions, I'd be happy to address them as well here as we're walking out. And then Saturdays I teach, so I have an hour on Saturdays as well. If you happen to be on campus and you want to talk to me for whatever reason, 1:45 to 2:45 p.m. on Saturdays. All right, there's a book you need for the course. It's called Macroeconomics by Krugman and Wells. It's the 4th edition. You'll also need the Launchpad digital homework system. So if you buy the book at the bookstore, it comes with the access code for Launchpad, or you can buy it as a standalone item. So to register for the homework system, there is a link on the digital syllabus, which is on Moodle, the top of Moodle. So you just click on this link here, and it'll take you to this screen here for Launchpad. Now, if you've worked in this system before, you already have an account. So you can just log in with those credentials, and then it'll take you through the same process of registering for this particular course. But if you have not used this system before, you'll have an access code that you get with the bundled book from the bookstore. But if you choose not to get that book, then you can purchase access here, or you can pay later. So if you purchase Launchpad access through the website, through the link, it's $84.99, and it'll give you access to the homework system, and I'm pretty sure it gives you access to the digital book as well. So that's everything you need for the course. It's a lot less than the bundled book. It's always nice to have like a book. If you can afford it and it's not too much of a burden, get it. And you can always resell it to the bookstore at the end of the semester. But there's also like used options. You can get the 3rd edition, which is slightly cheaper online, which you can probably find as well. There's this website. It's called ABE Books, Abe Books. They sell international editions, which they aren't supposed to do, but they do. And they're a lot cheaper as well. So that's another resource. So there's all sorts of options with respect to the book, but definitely you have to have the Launchpad system in order to do the homeworks for the class. The 3rd option is to access the online system for free for 21 days. There'll be a 21-day trial period. That's for people that are sort of on the fence about whether they're going to be in the class or not. If indeed you are going to get the 21-day trial period, when it's over, you'll need to re-register and purchase access using the same username and password. You'll get a reminder email sent to you 7 days before, plus you'll get this message at the top of the screen that says that your free trial is expiring in however many days. Again, you want to enter the same first name, last name, email address, and password that you use for free trial access to ensure that your work and grades remain associated with your account. Yeah. So one thing, I'm very detailed about what I present, and I move fairly quickly. And that's because I'm recording it. So I'm recording it. It's a resource for you. You go back, you fill in the blanks as far as like things that you missed or things I moved too quickly on. Just a brief side note there. Anyway, so you've got this option here. If you have any kind of technical issues with Launchpad, then you contact Launchpad directly. Don't contact me in any way because I'm not technical support for Launchpad. You pay them a lot of money. They've got some money. They have people that they hire to help support you, and you should call them and or send them a message. So at the bottom of each page, there's this link for technical support. You either fill out the form here, or you can call them. So there's a phone number, 1-800-936-6899. Remember, this is being recorded. I also have this resource available on Moodle. Don't worry, you'll always have this information available to you. And they've got some very flexible hours that are Eastern time, so it's 3 hours ahead of us. But still, like, there's a lot of available time periods for you to deal with issues if the system is having issues, which it sometimes does have issues. So again, just contact them about that. All right, so that's the homework system. That's registering for the homework system and the book. Let's talk about the reading, lecture slides, and attendance. So attendance is not mandatory for my course. I am not your parent. I am not your high school teacher. I am not going to be breathing down your necks, making you do the right thing. That is not what I'm going to do, ever. You have to make the right decisions for yourself. You should decide to come to class, and I hope that you will, because coming to class, again, is one pass on the material, which is, even though parts of it are interesting, ultimately it's slightly relatively dry. It's not like, it's not stuff about pop stars or like celebrities or whatever. It's not like your conventional interesting information. You have to learn to be interested in this information. You have to figure out that you can be interested in economics. And so initially it's like this jarring process where you're kind of forcing yourself to expose yourself to very technical information. In class is the first time that you should force yourself to do that. So choose to do that, but I won't force you to do it. Now, as far as like the lectures and attendance, it's a good idea to read the sections covered in class before the corresponding lectures. Obviously, that's always a good idea. The slides that I present, as I said, are based on the book and will be made available after each lecture on Moodle. So on Moodle, I'll post a PDF of the slides, I'll post a slideshow file, and I will post a video that includes the audio that's being recorded with this mic and everything you see on the screen. So the slideshow that I'm presenting, along with my audio, I will catalog them under the calendar sections that we have at the bottom of Moodle. So you'll have all of that available to you as a resource. So in the event that you can't come to class, you will be exposed to the lecture in some way, shape, or form. If you miss stuff in class or feel I move too quickly, you can always go back, and should go back actually, and rewatch my lectures, or you can watch them again with the book, whatever you choose to do. You can do a million things with the resources I have. But yeah, that's what I make available to you. Again, the slides are your primary source of information for the course, and the textbook is going to be supplementary to them. All right, as far as exams go, yes, folks, it's not all fun and games in this class. You will have to prove that you are actually learning stuff. So we're going to have exams, 2 midterms, and then a final exam. The final exam will not be cumulative, but the course is such that information does tend to sort of build upon itself. So, the last part of the course is not anything to kind of laugh about. Like, it's serious business. It's complicated, and it will be enough of a challenge that I don't feel that I would want to impose upon you the responsibility of knowing everything from the entire course at the end. Nonetheless, take it very seriously. Don't slack at the end just because it's not a cumulative exam. The exam dates are listed in the lecture schedule. At the end of the syllabus, I have a very detailed lecture schedule, which I'll go over, that has every day that we're meeting and exactly what we're covering and what's due and whatnot. Makeup exams will not be given ever. Students will only be excused from midterm 1 or midterm 2 at my discretion. Legitimate reasons include illness or other emergencies. A physician must document any illness. Going to the doctor because you feel sick is not a medical emergency. So if you are feeling kind of sick and you go to the emergency room, and the reason why you would go to the emergency room is because the doctor's not available, that's not an emergency. So an emergency is like you're at home, things are bad. Someone calls the ambulance, they pick you up, they take you to the hospital. You're likely going to be in a coma potentially for a couple of days, if not more. Somebody in your family needs to contact me and let me know that you weren't in class because you're potentially dying. That is an emergency, and that will excuse you from an exam. I will verify these documents that people try to submit to me that try to establish like the semblance of an emergency. This has happened in the past. I know the majority of you are not these people, but there's always one or two people that for some reason think that it's okay to have their doctor buddy give them some silly paper that says excuse them from school for a week, and then that's going to excuse you for an exam. It's not going to work with me, folks, and I will fight you till the end. There was a student last semester who tried that business with me, went to my department supported my position on it. The kid wound up failing my class, and that was the end of the story. So don't try to pull any shenanigans, because what really bothers me about trying to do that is that if you're trying to get away with not doing an exam, you're basically saying that somehow you are more entitled than everybody else in the classes, because everybody else has to sweat and bleed over an exam, and you somehow are able to just magically bypass it because you have a friend that's a doctor. Like, that is not going to work. I'm not okay with that. Do not try it with me. Just have to be very direct and firm about that. A jury duty also is not an excuse, because you can always postpone jury duty for the summer. If you miss an exam and for some reason you actually do have a real emergency, which I acknowledge can happen, maybe a family member is dying as well, that can be an emergency, things of that sort, things that are actually serious, they do tend to happen in life, and I acknowledge that, and I will, of course, grant people an excuse for those real emergencies. Then the final will absorb the missed credit from that missed exam. The final must be taken in order to pass the course and will only be rescheduled for major illness or other well-documented emergencies. You'll need to purchase your own Scantrons for the exams. I'll remind you about this throughout the entire semester, but it's 8882-E is the form. It's like the green skinny one. You'll need 3 of them for the semester. All right, so I already told you how to register for the homework system. So there will be mostly weekly homework assignments using the Launchpad interface. So once you log into Launchpad, you're going to click Enter Your Course here, and then you'll get the screen down here where it'll tell you what assignments might be due. Once you log in to access the assignments, click on Enter the Course. Like I said, homeworks will be due Thursday nights at 11:59 p.m. Wait, no. So we're meeting Tuesday nights. So they'll be on Sunday nights. Sorry, that's wrong there. So they'll be on Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. I'll drop your 3 lowest homework scores. So that's not meant to say, oh, it's okay to not do 3 homeworks. It's meant to just kind of capture any kind of error that might happen in your life, where you something gets in the way of you doing an assignment. Then it's fine because I dropped 3, not a big deal. So don't come to me with excuses about like this, that, or the other. I couldn't do the homework. Like, I usually have to remind a person, well, I do drop 3, so this will just cover one of them. People tend to forget. Try not to forget. There will be no late homework assignments because it's all automated, and it's just difficult to change due dates online, and it just creates complications. But the homework is not as serious as you might think. I'm going to provide you video solutions to the homework assignments, which you'll be able to find on Moodle. So there'll be like homework video solution playlist. You'll click on it. It'll take you to a YouTube video playlist, and there'll be like an individual file for each problem of the homework, in which I explain how to do the problem and the answer. And that's available before the homework's due. So basically, I give you the solutions to the homework. The homework is meant as once again, another pass on the material. Like, you hear me talking again about the questions. I'll talk in depthly about like the various multiple choice options and what they mean and why maybe they don't, why they're not the right answer, just to give you more insights into what you're learning. Again, it's all about like repetition in this class, covering the material several times. That's what the homework's intended to do. But I don't want it to be like this frustrating process for you where you're just trying to figure things out endlessly and you just wind up frustrated about economics in general because you can't get a few questions on a homework assignment. So I do want you to just have access to understanding everything. And then again, that puts the ball in your court as far as like you have everything you need to know what you need to know, and therefore it's up to you to know it. So that's that with respect to the homework. Course grade. So each of the 3 exams will be worth 25% of your grade. So that's 75% total. Homework will be worth 10% of your grade. And then I have this component of my grade. It's called communication. It's not participation. It's communication. I'll talk in depthly about it in a second. And that'll make up the last 10% of your grade. The highest test score that you have, though, will have an extra 5% weight on it. So let's say you're not too happy with your the first 2 exams. then the final will have a slightly extra weight of 30%. Hopefully that'll help you. But if that doesn't help you, whichever of the 3 exams was the highest will have a bigger weight on your overall grade. Letter grades will correspond approximately to the following ranges. So 90 to 100 will be an A minus to an A plus. 78 to 89 will be a B minus to a B plus, so slightly more generous than usual. And then below that, we get into a very large sort of C category. Now, I don't give out C minuses because it's just such a weird distinction between someone that has a C minus sometimes and someone that has a C. And I know that for business majors or people trying to get into the business program, that's a super important distinction because you need at least a C in this course to actually get into the business program. And so I would never want to put anybody into that weird sort of position where you did almost as well as the person next to you, maybe miss the C by a point and you get a C minus and you have to retake the course, but they don't. I would never want to do that to anybody. So I don't. So the majority of you will pass at the very least with a C. But the way the class works and just the way economics courses in general work, because they are so like technical and like just heavy with respect to like the theory and foreign as far as like what you're learning, they tend to be pretty challenging. And so what we end up doing is curving the grades a lot. And that's what I'll end up doing is curving the exams. And when you do that, you always are going to have people at the bottom. So there will be people that will get D's and F's in this class. Now, if for some weird miracle, which I welcome, everybody does exceptionally well and everybody does earn like higher than a C in the class, and you will just get that and nobody will fail or anything. But the way these classes generally go is that you do need curves in the exams, and when that happens, people will be at the bottom of those curves. So just don't be at the bottom of the curve, and don't depend on the curves because, again, like I said, like even though you might get out of here and you might like kind of like slide by if you're like this person that's like, I'm just going to go under the radar and just kind of make it. If you are that person, yeah, you will earn your degree from CSUN. But when you get out into the world, as soon as you get into a working environment, they're going to see that you're not driven, like you don't have it in you. And they're going to say bye-bye to you like pretty quickly. In any job situation, like, they'll hire you, but then they have like 3 months, I think it's like 90 days, to decide if they want to keep you or not. And they can just get rid of you for no reason. Like they don't have to tell you what it is or anything. That's their grace period that they have. And you can't fool people. Like you can't fool people beyond an interview. You might be able to charm them in an interview, but once you're in the thick of it, if all of a sudden you're just like, help me do everything, and people are like, no, I've got all this stuff I've got to do. Why am I going to help you? They will just ignore you and they will allow you to fail or they will immediately get rid of you. This is just the reality of life, folks. It's a competitive world and I don't like to sugarcoat it. Like if you want anything worthwhile in this world, you have to work your butt off for it. And it starts here in college. It starts in these classes where you're put through challenges that are they're not conventional. They're not the kind of things that you just like kind of encounter in life. Like they're very structured and very intentionally made to challenge you. And if you don't like try to meet the challenge, then the whole thing is pointless. Like it won't shape you into the person that will then become, successful in the world that is so competitive. So don't just slide by here. Do your absolute best. I know that you guys are taking other classes. I know that some of you are working and whatnot, but like you have to be realistic about what you're taking on, and you have to like just accept the responsibility of what that means, what that carries with it, how much time you have to dedicate to it. If you have to dedicate a bunch of time to it, so be it. If that means you don't get to go out with your friends, for like a month, so be it. That's just the reality of this situation sometimes. And again, like, it will pay off for you. You won't be able to see it right away, and you may not be able to see it for like a decade. But in the long run, you'll be smiling at the end, and it will all be worth it to you. All right, so this like weird portion of my grade, communication, is like my own policy. It's not participation. People think participation. It's not. It's communication. So communication is the most important skill you need to cultivate here in the university in order to be successful once you earn your degree. The policy is meant to help prepare you for professional communication standards that you'll be expected to adapt to in a variety of professional settings. All of you have grown up or are existing now in this like very digital era where we are very casual about how we communicate, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with like having all sorts of acronyms to text to your friends or Snapchat or whatever it is that you use. Please continue doing those things, but just acknowledge that in a professional setting, like that kind of communication does not fly. And when you get out into the world, like you're going to be working with people that didn't grow up in the digital age, have been working for maybe decades in a world that didn't have computers, didn't have this, that, or the other digital, and they're very used to communicating in a very like formal way, like where everything that's said is like very precise and concise, like to the point, quick, clear, done. And so it's important to start to kind of think about that, not about necessarily changing your like habits as far as what you do in your personal time, but just knowing that like when you are in a professional setting, you kind of have to switch gears and you have to approach it differently. You have to be a little bit more formal in the way you communicate. So in this class, electronic communication with me will be done exclusively through like a message board. Basically, it's called Piazza. So never email me. I get emailed every time you post on Piazza, so it's the same thing as emailing me. But Piazza is a forum where you can post questions and they can be answered by both me and your fellow students. So the purpose of it is to have like this common resource, because if somebody's asking a question, it's likely that there's other people that have the same question, and so that's where the practicality of the whole thing comes in. It also provides you the option to post anonymously to your fellow students, but all anonymous posts are transparent to me, so I know who you are. We're posting anonymously, so don't post rude comments to your fellow students or whatever, because I'm gonna know who you are. Now, if you have a personal issue that you want to discuss with me, you can post something very general anonymously on Piazza about what you want to talk to me about. And if I feel it warrants a personal email conversation, I'll say, well, just email me directly and we'll talk about it via email. But the best place to talk to me about personal issues is during my office hours. Like, we shouldn't be writing long emails to each other about whatever. Like, let's just talk about it during my office hours. That's what office hours are for. Office hours aren't for me to lecture information to you again. That's what my lectures are for. And the recorded lectures, that's what they're for as well. If you need extra help with the course, then we have tutoring resources available in the business department for this course specifically, and other econ courses. But this is how I generally feel about getting outside help. Like, I would suggest don't do it. I would suggest to just try to figure things out on your own, because this is absolutely true what I'm about to say. Every single person in this room is as smart as anyone that's ever come through this world. Like, the smartest person that's ever been in this world, you are as smart as that person. You just haven't like realized your full potential yet. And you have to actualize it by pushing yourself to places that you don't even know you can go. And so there's no magic formula to learning in this class. Some people often think there is, where it's like, I'll just casually read the book and watch my lecture, and if I don't get it, then I must not be smart enough to get it, and that's just not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is, like I said, like, it's highly technical information that requires several passes. So if you've gone through the information twice and you still haven't gotten it, go through it a third time. Still not getting it, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever it takes. That's how you learn very difficult, challenging information, by going over again, again, and again until you get it. That's how you do it. You don't understand a chapter? Write the entire chapter down. You'll understand it by the end of that. Take hours to just copy down the chapter, copy down the diagrams, copy everything down that explains everything. You'll understand it by the end. Or if you go through those notes of you copying down the chapter several times, you will get it in the end. That's how you get these things. Like, it's not like magic, and there aren't people that are just inherently smarter than you that just get this stuff and you don't. That's the kind of stuff that I have a problem with. Like, throughout our lives, like, we'll be exposed to ideas or people that tell us, you're not good enough. You're this kind of person that isn't as smart as these kind of people. All this stuff is silly. None of it's true. Everybody is as capable as anyone to do anything, and the most important key to sort of being able to realize that is just to know that. And anytime you hear that voice in your head, you're not good enough to do this, you're not good enough to do this, you got to tell that voice, no, I am good enough to do that. You just go over here, and I'm just going to focus all my energy on what I'm doing right now, and I'm going to get this. And that's that. Like, what the sad thing is that, like, if you believe that stuff, if you actually believe that you are inherently not as good as other people, then you're using your very powerful tool, your brain, to convince yourself of that. So you are convincing yourself that you're not as smart as other people, but at the exact same time, you're being as smart as you possibly can because you're using the full power of your brain to convince yourself that you're not smart. It's really screwed up. And what's important is just to be aware of that. And it's something that you can't just resolve magically, because I don't think anyone ever resolves that. And I think we all kind of have a piece of that in our heads. You carry that with you your entire life. But it's about just like kind of always being conscious of what is going on inside of your head and being able to say, no, I am great. I can do this. This teacher was an idiot. These things I heard through the media, crap. None of this is true. I am great. And then enacting your full potential, proving to yourself, which is all that you ever need to do, that you can be that person and that you are that person, and then you become that person, and then you become even more than that person, more than you could ever possibly imagine. So again, like, office hours is all about office hours. Office hours, like, I'm there during those times to talk to you about stuff. You have stuff you want to talk to me about with respect to the class, with respect to whatever, come talk to me. I'm there to talk to you. But I'm not there to re-lecture. And again, you have a tutoring resource that is available to you. But again, I really can't stress to you enough, like, if throughout your life you have been dependent on other people to help you get by, like, you need to sever that cord now or soon, and just really learn to be independent, like a self-starter, self-sufficient, like, really, like, you have no idea how important that quality is. Like, it's so valuable. And again, it requires time, so it's about the sacrifice, sacrificing, the fun stuff. But the great thing about life is that if you inject yourself into this kind of process the way you need to, and you do sacrifice a lot of this fun that you could be having for the work, then that kind of fun can continue on until the end of your life. Like, fun doesn't have to end at old age. It can actually continue. I'm getting older, but I'm having a lot of fun in my life right now. This may be the most fun I've ever had in my life, even though I had a blast when I was your age. Believe me, I did. But I am still having a great time, and I don't see an end to it. And yes, I've got a lot of work to do, and there's all sorts of responsibilities that I have to continuously be taking on, and that means, like, a lot of time commitments. That means, like, not having time to do all the fun stuff I want to do today. But I know that when I do have free time, I can have a blast still, and I will continue to be able to do that to the end of my life. And all of you can make that happen for yourselves as well. Like, there doesn't have to be, like, this dark period in your life where just it all ends and it's all horrible and you're old and things are miserable. Like, that doesn't have to happen to you. It can happen to you, but it doesn't have to happen to you. And it's all about right now, making trade-offs now. Another thing that's important is just, like, I already talked about youth and, like, how that's fleeting. All right, youth is fleeting, but life can continue to be fun. So just remember that. Push yourselves to realize what you are capable of, and then push yourself even further. All right, as far as this Piazza message board goes, I'll just give a quick sort of introduction into the platform, because people sometimes need it, but I know in general most of you are very comfortable using digital platforms, so all of this is going to be very simple. Anyway, so this is the main screen that we'll be using. There's some tabs up here. It says Q&A, Resources, Statistics, Manage Class. We're only going to be using the Q&A tab. That's it, just to answer questions. So below that is a set of folders that correspond to Homework 1, Homework 2, Homework 3, Midterm 1, Midterm 2, Final Exam. Logistics. Logistics is like anything having to do with how the class runs. Or other, if something that doesn't fall into those categories. It's just a way of sort of organizing the information. If you click on these icons, it'll filter the results of whatever's been posted to that topic, so it can narrow down your ability to find what you're looking for. Below the folder are some more filtering options: unread, updated, unresolved, following. If you press the cog thing, it has more options to filter the posts. It's just ways of finding stuff. There's also a search thing up here that allows you to find a question. If you have a question, you can look for it and see if somebody's asked it already before asking it again. Let me see. Got that. The new post button is how you start a new post. It's up here on the left. And then you'll get the screen here. You'll be asked to put your post into some folder. And then there's like a summary, which is like the title of your post. And then, of course, the details if you need to add some details in there. The column on the left catalogs all the posts from the most current at the top to the oldest post. If you click on a post, it'll pop up on the main window on the right. If you scroll down, you'll have the option to respond to a post. So if somebody asks a question, you can respond to somebody's question. Again, that's not something you have to do. This is not a participation portion of the grade. It's a communication portion of the grade. So nobody has to do anything. But if you're the sort of person that is cool with like helping other people, then I will appreciate that. And it maybe in the end, if I'm like, if you stand out as a person that's done that, and maybe you're at the cusp of a higher grade, maybe that's what'll push you over. Who knows? But just to keep it in mind. All right, so I also have the option to give an answer. So I'll have the official instructor answer that I'll give to any question. But if I feel that somebody's already answered a question properly, then I can endorse that question. So the instructor will endorse an answer or whatever. So you know that whatever someone's told you is correct. And believe me, I'll be monitoring all this stuff. I'll be on top of it. Now, as far as registering for Piazza, there's a hot link on the digital syllabus as well. So just click on that. You cannot register on your phone. You can use your phone to access Piazza once you've registered, but for some reason you can't register on the phone. So register on a PC. Once you click on the link to register, it'll take you to this page here, which allows you to register for the course, join the class. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. The communication grade, the 10%, is calculated based on a few factors. One, registering on Piazza. So if you haven't registered by the third week, which is when all the add drop stuff happens, then I'll cut your communication grade down by a half. So just make sure you get registered on Piazza before then. It's not difficult. It takes 2 seconds. Second thing that I'm gonna be looking at, posting professionally on Piazza. So if you're posting, you need to if you have, like, let's say questions about different questions from a homework assignment, homework 3, question 5 and 6, start different posts for that, so that if people have questions about those particular questions, they can find just those answers rather than just like answers within answers. Each post should be labeled correctly in the title as well as the folder you categorize it in. So if you do have a question about, let's say, question 4 on homework 3, then title it homework 3 question 4. Like if you just title it question 4, then that's like really ambiguous. It's like there's a question 4 in every assignment. There's a question 4 in every exam. There's a question 4 all over the place. Like, what are you talking about? That's the kind of thing that then bleeds into like sort of that ability to be very precise in a professional setting, because when you're at a work setting, you can't be writing things like that, like where you just like write some like random thing that's very general and like not specific, and people are like, okay, now I have to like ask them what they mean by this, and like that means they have to take time out of their day to figure out what you were asking about because you weren't precise. Like that really bugs people. It can actually wind up like just eventually getting you into a bad place in life. It's weird, but it actually does work out that way. So a couple more examples. If you have a question about how the communication grade works, then just title it, how does the communication grade work? Put it in the logistics folder. If you have a question about exam 2, question 3, title it exam 2, question 3, etc. This is just like, you don't have to be exact with respect to what I'm writing here. It's just about like being precise, and that's what I want from you. Again, you don't have to do anything, but if you have questions, ask them properly on this message board. It's a good resource. It works. It worked for the professor that I got it from when I used to TA for him. And ever since I've been using it in my classes, it's worked out really well as well, as far as like people getting the information they need. So if, let's say there's like an error on something, some person brings it up and then I answer or address it and everybody knows that I did, versus you emailing me and then like 30 other people emailing me the same thing and me having to respond to everybody, nobody knowing the answer. It's like, it just facilitates a smoother course. And I am teaching 5 courses this semester. So I've got 2 price theory courses, which are intermediate micro. I've got a management course, which is a core business course for management majors and also business majors. So if you're going to be taking business or be in the business curriculum at some point, you'll probably have me for that at some point. I'm teaching introductory micro also, and I think that's it. And then next semester, I'm also going to teach the business calculus course. So if some of you are going to plan to take that, I will be teaching one section of that, but I don't know when or where, so don't ask about that. Anyway, I'm dealing with a bunch of folks, ultimately like hundreds of people. So I try to just like streamline it as much as possible, and it does work out. So if you can just play your part, I'm going to be very transparent about this communication grade. You'll have a communication grade portion on Moodle. It'll be 10 starting from the start of the semester, and it'll be transparent to you, so you know that I'm not just arbitrarily lowering your communication grade. Like most of you will wind up with 10s at the end of the semester. It's not that serious, believe me. But it is important to me. So just like keep in mind of how it works, and adhere to it, and everything will work out properly. All right, so if you have any kind of question before you post it, just make sure it hasn't already been asked. If your question has been asked and the answer does not cover your issue, just post a follow-up on the same thread. Questions and answers on Piazza should be limited to the topics in any particular thread. Another thing that I grade you on for communication, you should never directly email me, only if I instruct you to. If you email me a question that should be on Piazza, I'll just let you know you violated the communication policy. Please post this on Piazza, and I'll lower your communication by a point. Posting only professional comments is important. Posting personal feelings about anything related to the class is not professional. So like, I hate this class, I hate this assignment, I hate the professor. Like, these are things that will likely run through your head at some point. And I understand, I can respect that may happen. Nobody needs to hear about it though. Nobody in this class anyway. The message board is for relaying important information about the class. You know, if you want to talk about your feelings with respect to the class, talk to your fellow friends about it. Talk about it on social media. Come talk to me during office hours. But you know, that's just not. We don't, in public, like professional forums. You don't express those kind of feelings. People can sometimes take things the wrong way, and that can create problems. Also, every day that we meet, I'll send an email which will say I've posted the lecture files on Moodle, and I'll also have like some reminders of things that are going on or whatnot. Never respond to those emails. Like some people respond to them. Don't respond to them because it's basically like emailing me. And it just, again, you're asking questions that everybody should be aware of. And this other component of the communication is that I need everybody to stay up with information. Like I said, you don't have to come to class. It is not mandatory for you to come to class. Actually, there's only 3 days where you need to come to class, and that's midterm 1, midterm 2, and the final. You must come to those days. No excuses, as we've already discussed. You should come to every single class, though, and I highly emphasize that. But again, I'm not going to force you to be here. But at the very least, I want you to just keep up with what's going on in the class. Like, if you're not on top of the material in the class, at the very least, be up on on what I'm saying is going on in the course. If for some reason, let's say, I switched a date on something or whatever, I'm going to talk about that in class. So every day at the beginning of the class, I'll address issues with respect to what's happening in the class, the logistics. And that's recorded. So you could, at the very least, just like listen to those recordings. But I know that not everybody's going to do that all the time. And so I will relay important information to you in those emails that I send. So at the very least, read those emails and just keep up with like what's going on in the class. So if you have a question about how the class is run, the first place you want to check is the syllabus. If the answer is not there, the second place you should check is the news forum on Moodle. So at the top, there's this news forum. The news forum is just a place that catalogs all my emails. So all my daily emails or like weekly emails that I send after our meetings will just be cataloged in this news forum. So you'll see them like this, and you can just get caught up really quickly. If you haven't been keeping up with my emails, you know, whenever it's convenient to you, you can go on here and just kind of check through the latest ones, figure out what's important to you. If you don't find an answer to the question you're looking for on the news forum, then you can go to Piazza, search for a question. If your question hasn't been answered, post a new question. If you have a question about the class material, do a search do a similar search on Piazza, and if it hasn't been answered, post a new question on Piazza. All right, so I've got a bunch of resources on Moodle for you. You're thinking, oh my God, there's all sorts of weird things in this class that I'm not going to remember. Well, I try to make it as user-friendly as possible. So at the very top of Moodle, we've got the news forum, we've got the syllabus for the course, we've got a link to Piazza, and then a link to the Launchpad homework system. So if you're going to start doing work for this class, just open up Moodle, and then that will be your sort of gateway to everything that you need to figure things out or do your homework or whatever. All right, so beyond that, I've got some videos. So if all this stuff seems like a lot of information, you just didn't get it all today, it's fine. I understand. It's a lot of stuff to take in. So I've got videos explaining everything on Moodle. So Launchpad instructional videos and resources pertaining specifically to the homework system. You have a video explaining how to register for Launchpad. Another one explaining where to find your homework and the homework policies video. Launchpad help topics, that's their own website, help topics. And then the customer service number that I told you about earlier is there also with the times that they are available to call. And then we've got some videos here on my communication and Piazza stuff. So registering for Piazza, how the Piazza interface works, how to post correctly on Piazza, and communication policy explained. Videos explaining all that stuff in case you are shaky on how all of this works at some point. You don't have to go back to the first lecture, this one that's recorded, to find the information. I've made little small nuggets of videos for you to sort of figure things out as the semester goes along. But it's really, believe me, it's not complicated. Within like the second or third week, you'll have it all down and things will be very smooth. And also things that I will have. So things that I will also have are like practice exam files that I will post. So right now I'm actually currently working on your first practice exam. So this is the first time teaching this course here at CSUN, so I'm still creating materials for the course. I'm almost done with the lectures. I'm like halfway done with the lectures, but I'm getting through the first exam right now. So I will have a practice exam for the first exam up hopefully by early next week, so that you can get an idea of like how you should be thinking about the material, how you're going to be tested on it. Generally, the structure for my exams is like 15 multiple choice and like 4 open answer questions that involve maybe drawing graphs or doing some computations. But these are things that I will cover in class. So there won't be anything that will be like surprising where you're just like trying to figure things out on the fly. I won't ever do that to you. Everything that you will be expected to do on an exam will be things that I have done already for you, that I've demonstrated. So you'll always have references for everything. So again, it's all about like you having the ball and then like running with the ball. So I don't want you to feel like I'm making you walk a tightrope without a net. Like you've got a solid net of information. So if you fall, you're going to be fine. But again, it's you have to make it across that rope by yourself. Okay, so as the semester unfolds, the lecture files will be posted at the bottom of Moodle. So at the bottom of Moodle, there is like calendar sections. So below each particular week, you'll see the files that I'll post. So as far as lecture files, I'll post a PDF. I think I already mentioned this, but I'll post a PDF of my lecture files, a slideshow file, and the video that you're seeing, which is like what you see on the screen, plus me, everything, all the talking that you're hearing. So that will be there. It'll be very nicely organized. You should have no problem finding it, and the videos will be on YouTube, so you can watch them on your phone if you want to. But again, like so the videos, even though they are somewhat of an excuse to not come to class, they should not be. You should come to class. But if for whatever reason you are deciding, well, I'm just going to watch the videos, you need to watch the videos like you're watching them in class. Like you can't like casually watch them like they're a podcast. I'm just going to clean the house and do my laundry and just listen to the professor. Like that's not how you learn in this class. That's not how you watch one of my lectures. Like you have to sit down, you have to take notes on what I'm saying. That's how you learn this stuff. So I want all of you to be here all the time. I accept the reality that you won't, but please use these resources properly. Don't take this class casually. Again, like there will be people at the bottom, and I don't want it to be you. And if you want to be somewhere beyond just the middle, if you actually want to be or an A in this class, which is totally possible to get, I'm totally willing to give those grades to you, but you really have to earn those grades. You have to earn them. You have to demonstrate you are an A student, you are a B student. If that's what you want, you have to show me you are that. And I will give you those grades. All right, almost done with my introductory speech. Just like a couple more minutes and we'll take a 20-minute break. Weeks 1 through 6, we'll cover 6 chapters, including chapter 1. There it is. There'll be 3 homework assignments during that time, and then the first midterm will be the Tuesday, October 4th. Okay, so some of the chapters that we're going to cover, like the first 3, are actually identical to the chapters that are covered in micro. So the first like 3 weeks, no, I'd say I'm going to cover chapter 2 and 3 next week. So the first 2 weeks will be basically the same thing you've learned in micro, be it if you've taken it with me already, or if you've taken it with somebody else. All books are pretty similar, so you'll see a lot of overlap. You'll be very familiar with a lot of the stuff, and that is a little bit misleading. So the class gets more difficult. So don't get too comfortable if you've already taken micro. Also, you may not have taken micro, but you may have taken, well, you definitely have taken some economics at some point in high school. They have like a half a semester or something that you guys are forced to take. And so there's some foundation, and that's why the first part of the semester is kind of, there's a lot of stuff that we cover. So 6 chapters is a lot, but it's because we assume that you know some of this stuff already. Then the following 4 weeks, 7 through 11, we'll cover 4 more chapters, getting more into macro topics. 3 homework assignments, second midterm early in November. So I structured it in this way because I wanted to avoid Halloween so that you at least have that weekend to enjoy yourselves. But because I actually did almost wind up with an exam, like I think the day after Halloween. I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So I had to restructure some stuff. But anyway, just be aware that there will be an exam the week after Halloween. So don't get too comfortable. And then finally, of course, the last few weeks, we'll cover 5 chapters. Again, a lot of super intensive macro topics will be covered in fine detail, and I will expect you to know it very well. 4 homework assignments and a final exam on Tuesday, the 13th of December. And that's it. That's all we have to do in this class, and then it'll be over, and we'll never see each other again, and we will cry endlessly. No, but really, overall, it's going to be a difficult, challenging semester for you in this class, and probably outside as well. But again, it is going to help you in the long run. So just take it one moment at a time. That's the most important thing with anything you take on in life that's like big and challenging. It's just like stay in the moment, stay in the assignment, stay in the reading. Don't think about the volume of things that you have to do and cover, because that's when it starts to get stressful. Because that's when your super powerful tool that you have inside your head starts to try to think of all of that information at once. And that's when you start to feel that pressure in your chest and stuff, because your mind is trying to do something it's not capable of doing, and it's affecting you physically. Anyway, okay, we're done with this stuff. Let's take a 20-minute break. We'll come back at 8:40, and we'll cover chapter 1. And if you're not registered for the course, come up here, please.